Wraith by William Toney. Chapter 24, Crossroads and Confrontations. Wright's frustration and Eris's plans. Charles Wright paced his office like a caged animal, the pendant around his neck catching the dim light with every frantic turn. His frustration was palpable. The failed attempts to secure the park and the mysterious powers of the Wraith were chipping away at his confidence. Eris stood by the window, her golden gown catching the faint glow of the city lights. Her gaze was distant, but her mind was racing. The revelation that Allistor was involved had shifted her focus. This was no longer about Wright's petty ambitions. It was about survival. Wright finally stopped pacing and turned to her, his anger barely contained. "You knew there were forces at play I couldn't control, and you let me walk into this blind." Eris smirked, turning her sharp gaze to him. "I didn't let you do anything, Charles. You marched into this mess with your greed leading the way. Don't blame me for your short-sightedness." Wright's jaw clenched. "If you're so powerful, why aren't you handling this? What's the point of having an entity like you if I'm still cleaning up these messes?" Eris strode over to him, her movements fluid and deliberate. "I could crush the Wraith if I wanted to," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "But this is bigger than you realize. Allistor is more than just a rival entity. He's dangerous, far more dangerous than your little ambitions for City Hall." Wright scoffed, though his bravado was thin. "So what? You're scared of him?" Eris's laughter filled the room, cold and sharp. "Scared? Hardly, but I'm not stupid. Allistor doesn't play games like I do. He doesn't just manipulate pawns, he obliterates them." Wright swallowed hard, his confidence wavering. "Then what do we do?" Eris's smile returned, sly and calculating. "I'll deal with Allistor's little pet, but first I need to ensure our position is secure, and that means taking advantage of the chaos." Before Wright could respond, Eris vanished, leaving him alone with his doubts and the growing weight of his predicament. Jason's theft. Jason Black moved through the shadows of City Hall like a wraith himself, his movements silent and precise. Eris's words echoed in his mind, her promise of power a seductive lure he couldn't ignore. "The pendant is your key," she had told him. "Steal it, and I'll make you unstoppable." Jason had spent days observing Wright, learning his routines and the security around him. Tonight was the moment he had been waiting for. The office was dark when Jason slipped inside, the faint glow of the city lights barely illuminating the space. Wright's desk was cluttered with papers and trinkets, but Jason's focus was on the pendant resting in its usual spot on a small pedestal. He approached it cautiously, his heart pounding. The pendant seemed to radiate a faint energy, a pull that sent a shiver down his spine. "Don't hesitate," Eris's voice whispered in his mind. "Take it." Jason reached out, his fingers brushing against the cold metal. The moment he lifted it, a wave of energy surged through him, sharp and electric. He staggered back, clutching the pendant as his vision blurred. Eris materialized in the corner of the room, her smile triumphant. "Good boy," she purred. "Now let's see what you're made of." Jason's vision cleared, and he looked at her with a mixture of awe and unease. "What now?" Eris stepped closer, her golden eyes gleaming. "Now, we take the first step toward your ascension, but first you'll need to prove your worth." Jason clenched his fists, the pendant cool against his palm. "I'm ready." Eris's smile widened, and she extended her hand. "Then let's begin." Lilah's awakening. Lilah sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the silver egg in her hands. The eagle engraved on its surface seemed to shimmer in the dim light of her apartment. The pull she had felt for days had grown stronger, and now it was impossible to ignore. "Trust your instincts," the voice whispered, soft yet insistent. "You are ready." Taking a deep breath, Lilah pressed her palm against the egg. The metal grew warm beneath her touch, and a faint glow began to emanate from within. "What's happening?" she whispered, her heart racing. The egg cracked open, its pieces dissolving into light. From within, an ethereal figure emerged, its form radiant and otherworldly. "I am your guide," the figure said, its voice resonating with an ancient authority. "And you, Lilah, are destined to protect what matters most." Lilah stared in awe, her fear giving way to curiosity. Protect? From what? The entity's gaze softened, and it extended a hand toward her. You will understand in time, but first you must accept my gift. Lilah hesitated, her mind racing. The weight of everything she had experienced, the attack, the coma, Aaron's secrecy, pressed down on her. But as she looked into the entity's eyes, she felt a sense of calm and purpose she hadn't known before. I accept, she said, her voice steady. The entity smiled, and a wave of warmth washed over her. Lilah felt a surge of energy, her body light and powerful. The silver egg reformed, its pieces swirling into a bracelet that wrapped around her wrist, the eagle now etched into its surface. Your journey has just begun, the entity said, but you are not alone. As the figure faded, Lilah stared at the bracelet, her resolve hardening. Whatever was coming, she was ready to face it. Aaron and Allistor's tension. Aaron stood on the rooftop of a dilapidated building, his gaze fixed on the city below. Allistor's voice echoed in his mind, taunting as always. You're losing control, Allistor said, his tone mocking. Your enemies are multiplying, and your little crusade is unraveling. Aaron clenched his fists, his anger simmering beneath the surface. I'm handling it. Allistor materialized beside him, his golden eyes gleaming with amusement. Are you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're barely keeping your head above water. Aaron turned to face him, his expression hard. What do you want, Allistor? Allistor smirked, leaning casually against the ledge. To remind you that this game isn't as simple as you think. Right, Eris, Jason. They're all pieces on the board, and you're not the only one moving them. Aaron's jaw tightened. Then I'll move faster. Allistor's laughter echoed into the night. Oh, Aaron, you still don't understand. This isn't a game you win, it's one you survive. As Allistor faded into the shadows, Aaron's determination only grew. He couldn't let the city fall into chaos, not while he still had the power to stop it.